In this video, we'll have a look of basic manipulations in object mode. So for this, I will just select everything and remove my cube and everything in my scene. And I will just add here Suzanne, the experiment object, the experimentation object here. And we will just discover the three icons here. So the move, the rotate, and the scale by default. Okay. So here you have the possibility to activate a kind of gizmo, and if you use the arrows of the gizmo, you can just move your object into your 3D scene with the axis, with the global axis of your scene, like that. Okay. But you can use the little squares here too, and it will kind of move your object into a plane. So for example, if I use this one, the Z axis one, so I will just add here a plane here and put Suzanne there and scale my plane like that, and like this I will have Suzanne that will be kind of cutted with this level. So you can see that now if I move with this one, you can see that the cut that I have into the down part of Suzanne stays the same. Okay, the level stays the same always. So this one is important to understand, and it will be the same for the other axis as well. Okay, so for the manipulation here, basically it will be this. But if you change, for example, and make this with the shortcut, so the shortcut will allow you with G to work and to move your object depending on the view you are. Okay, so if I turn around my Suzanne, I can move my object with G and move it without any constraint. Okay, so this is the first manipulator here, move, and the shortcut will be G. Here you will have the rotate tool that you can use too, and it will give you the opportunity to rotate your object directly like that. Okay, or if you use the circle here, you will have a free possibility of rotate your object, or you have the possibility to use the shortcut R, and R will give you the possibility to make a free rotation depending on the view you are. So if you are in front view, for example, you will rotate your object into the y-axis. Okay, so it will be exactly the same rotation than this one because you are in front view. So this is basically the rotate option there. And you have here the scale. The scale can grow your object. So if you take into the little circle, it will be a global scale here. Okay, and if you take with the axis, you can kind of scale down and stretch your Suzanne into an axis if you want. Okay, or double axis here, and the shortcut for that is S. Okay, so I will really recommend you. I don't tell these tools are not useful, and it's good to have them sometime with the gizmo. It's easy to manage, and it's visually easy to manage like that, and let's say it's user friendly. But to have something more efficient, I really recommend you to use shortcuts, and we will go further with shortcuts and see that they are even more powerful than that one. Okay, so let's come back into our selection mode here, and we will just make exactly the same that what here the move, rotate, and scale tool gave us. So with the G shortcut, you can move your object free. Okay, but if you add an axis like, for example, GZ, and you will not see what I will do after G, but if I just put GZ like that, you can manage your axis like this, and without changing anything, without any click, if I change it to X, I will move like this into the x-axis, and with the y we can move it like that too. Okay, so it can be interesting to manage it with shortcut. And exactly the same for air. So you can make a rotation into the x-axis, for example, or the z-axis, or the y-axis as well. And it will be basically the same than the tool that we had before. And it will be the same for the scale. If I make a scale here, I can scale it into the x-axis or the y-axis or the z-axis. I just have to put the axis I want just after launching the action. So here basically you have the possibility to do this just by shortcuts, and you have the possibility to remove an axis from an action. For example, if you want to move your object on a plane like we did before, I will just make G, and Shift Z will remove the z-axis, and like this I will move it only into the y and to the x-axis, and it's exactly the same for the rotation and the scale as well. So interesting to see that here we can manage this only with shortcuts, and we can do even more. So if I put everything at 0 to have Suzanne in the center here, I can do even more things. Like for example, if I want to move my object and to move every 1 meters, I just move so with G, and let's say I will do a GX to constrain it into an axis, and if I add the control key during my action, you can see that I have an incrementation, okay, and it will move every 1 meter. So I move it into the x-axis here, but with only 1 meter, okay? So the control key will give you a kind of incrementation value. And the same, if I make a RZ, for example, to make a turn to Suzanne like that, I will have an incrementation. If I have the control, you can see that now it will turn every 5 degrees, okay? So it can be interesting to use this too. Okay, so interesting to see that with control you will have an incrementation, and it will be the same for the scale as well. So if I make a scale, and I will have the same kind of incrementation here every 0.1, okay? So it can be interesting to use this as well. Good. If I want something with let's say a solid control, more precise control, if I make a rotation and I want something really like, okay, I don't want to make a big movement, and if I use the shift, you can see that now my rotation gives me a really soft control, okay, and I can really go slow if I want to make a precise thing. So if I make a scale, it will be the same too. I will have really a smooth control like that and a precise control. So with control key you will add an incrementation, and with the shift key you will add a precise control of your movement, okay, more little control, let's say. But you can change it with numbers, values that you can add into your actions too. Like for example, if you make a GX2, it will move your Suzanne into the x-axis with 2 meters here, okay? And if you make a RZ45, it will make a rotation into the z-axis 45 degrees. You can tell it directly like that. And if you make a S2, it will give a double scale everywhere, okay? So if you don't specify the axis, it will make on all the axes. So can be interesting to work like that with. You can use the control key to make incrementations, to the shift key to make some precise movements, and use some values, some number values as well. So let's say you have really made a lot of manipulations like that, like a scale and RZ, okay, and I move it again, and you have a lot of manipulations like that were made, and you want to put back everything into the center here. So for this you have the solution to click and drag here and put 0 to all the values like this, okay, and 1 into the scale because 0 will make something crazy. If you put 0 here, you will have no geometry, just a little dot, so nothing interesting. We come back to 1, okay, and so here we come back to the original values. But let's say if you want to make it by shortcuts too, and don't come back and put 0 and 1, and can be annoying too. So let's say you have different values here. Alt G will put back everything to 0 for the location, because G is the shortcut for the locations, okay? And Alt R will remove the here for the rotation, and Alt S the same for the scale, and put it back to 1. So interesting to manage it like that. You can see that shortcuts are really powerful for this kind of system. So G, R, S, Alt G, Alt R, Alt S, and with Control and Shift you will have even more options. So that's it for the 3 first shortcuts, let's say, GRS. But we have at least 2 or 3 that I would like to show you. It's the duplication here. You have 2 kind of duplicate. There's 3 here, yeah. Duplicate object, duplicate linked, and join. So Shift D, Alt D, and this one we will see it after. So Shift D and Alt D. So if I take my object and I make Shift D, I can duplicate my object, and you can see that I have a second Suzanne 001. And if I make Alt D, I will have a Suzanne 002, but it seems exactly the same, and there is no differences between every Suzanne. So what is the difference between Alt D and Shift D? I will show you that just now. If you make a Shift D, it will make a completely new object that, for example, if you change something on this object into edit mode, and you will move, for example, I don't know, this vertex and this vertex here, so you will have a completely new object, no link between the two, okay? But if you make Alt D, you will have a relationship between the two, and it's said here when you go there, you can see duplicate linked. It's same, it keeps a link between the two. So if I go into edit mode, you can see that I go in edit mode with the two, and if I change something like, for example, this, you can see that the two have the same modifications, okay? And it will be, it will keep the link like that between the two, but this one is a complete separated object. So the difference between Shift D and Alt D is this. One, make a new object with Shift D, and Alt D make a duplicate linked. Good. I make Control Z a few times to come back in my only one Suzanne in the center. And you can make another operation too that is important, is the join. It's to make 2 objects becomes 1. So if I add here, for example, let's say a UV sphere, okay, and I will put my UV sphere a little down with GZ and with GY, okay, and let's say I would like to keep this structure as 1 object. For now we have 2 objects, we have sphere and Suzanne, okay? But if I want to make only 1 object, I just select my 2 objects with Shift key, okay? And I will make a Control J, and Control J will give me only 1 object. And here you can see as my sphere was selected last, so here I have my sphere that did take my Suzanne inside it, okay? So let's say if I take something, I don't know, like another UV sphere, and I scale it like that and put it here, okay, and make another one like this, okay, and another one like that, and another one like here, okay. I move objects like this, I make several objects and I want to make everything one object. So I select my 5 objects with this one at last, and I make a Ctrl J, and I will have only one object. So this one will be Strange Suzanne. We will have a lot of Strange Suzanne during the training, don't worry. So here you will have only one object like that. Okay, the geometry stays the same, and in edit mode you will have and even not in edit mode, if you go to wireframe mode, you can see that objects continue to cross each other, but it's only the geometries continue to cross each other, but now it's only one object that I can manage there as one object here. Okay, so you can add several geometries in one object. That's what is important to remember for that, for the Ctrl J. So that's it for there's manipulations that we will start to manage in object mode. So in the end of this chapter, we will use these basic manipulations a lot to create some simple modeling exercises. And in the next video, we will manage the outliner and the collections.